So the Cowichan Valley is changing, and our communities are changing. The demographics of our communities, the reasons why people are moving and locating in the Cowichan Valley are changing. And we're getting new people with different expectations. And the Cowichan 2050 project will allow us to understand what those expectations are and to create a long-term vision based on those expectations.
What Cowichan 2050 has the opportunity to do is have us thinking more regionally on a consistent basis and proactively.
So I believe that issues like growth, climate change, and governance are key issues on the region, and Cowichan 2050 is going to provide a framework for elected officials and staff to be able to make decisions in terms of those issues.
And we need to be doing it collaboratively. We need to know what each other is doing. We need to understand where our communities want to be. So when we're creating our long-term plans for the region as municipal government partners, or even as our First Nation partners in the community and other groups and associations, that we're all steering in the same direction, and that we're all attempting to do our part to achieve a greater vision for the Cowichan region.
So I think the other key message I would say just relates back to relationship building and the ability to work together and how we're stronger together rather than as individual communities. And the Cowichan Valley District is a community made up of communities. And it's very hard sometimes for us to operate together, and this is the opportunity to get these communities together and find a better path forward.
What it has the potential again of doing is having the region think more collaboratively on an ongoing basis. And I think the more we work together, the stronger we are together.
Supporting Cowichan 2050 will allow our councils and our boards to have better decision making on issues that affects the whole region.
We need to factor in all of the aspects of life that affect livability in our region. Climate change, recreation, transportation, protection of our environment. There's many aspects that we need to be managing, and we need to be doing it collaboratively.
So the 2050 project has been a fabulous opportunity for all city managers and staff from all parts of the region to get together and collaborate on what issues are important for the region. And most importantly, we've had the First Nations at the table. And I think this has been an opportunity for relationship building and to establish what issues we need to address moving forward.
My concern and misgiving is that given that we're living in a world of flux, change is constant, and we need to be in tune and commensurate with that change.
So the Cowichan Valley is comprised of a number of communities. We have our 4 municipalities, and we have 9 electoral areas, and even within those electoral areas are very distinct communities. The Cowichan 2050 project is not to take away from the individuality of those various communities, but more to build on the strengths of them, to understand each community's aspirations and where they see themselves within the Cowichan region. And so it's going to provide some common vision. So when those communities are doing their long-term planning, they're taking into consideration the bigger picture in the Cowichan region and how their actions and their plans can actually contribute to a more livable and prosperous region.
So for our community, what I look to see happening is that 2050 is a process that leads to growth management. And growth management for our region becomes very important for the municipality. And I think this has been an outstanding opportunity to lead the pathway or create the pathway for this to happen.
While the community should come together on this project, we must also recognize that we're not monolithic. We are parts of a whole. And so we should be taking into consideration each community's needs and wants in this whole process.
The elected officials should support the Cowichan 2050 project because the residents of the Cowichan Valley, they do believe they belong to one valley. So we might not be in one municipality or one electoral area. There are separate, but we're all connected. And Duncan residents, they care about what goes on in Chemainus, and Chemainus residents care about what goes on in Lake Cowichan. And it's time that we started planning regionally in that way.
So elected officials need to operate, of course, at a 20,000 foot view. And this is the governance structure that allows them to look into the future and establish where the major issues are that need to be addressed for our region, so that we can ensure that we address these issues in a long-term way to move forward.
Well, elected officials' support for the Cowichan 2050 project is essential. It's the elected bodies, our municipal councils and our regional district board that set the direction and the priorities for the region. And it's important that our elected officials have bought into this process, that they support the work that we're doing. We see this as being a very valuable tool after the next municipal election, in order to provide a bit of a framework for our local governments and our other community partners as well, to work together collaboratively. We do it intuitively, and at the staff level we certainly do work together, and our municipal partners do to a degree, but we do it without a framework, and the Cowichan 2050 project provides us with that framework that the elected bodies can rely on to guide us in our work in the coming years.
Well, it's important because if the politicians have a good idea of what things are happening in the region, that will provide also a lot of better decision making for staff. So when we provide reports to council or boards, we'll be able to have regional issues put into those reports. And this Cowichan 2050 framework will allow them to have a good idea of how those decisions are going to affect the whole region and not just one municipality or one sector. So at the end of the day, I think it's important for elected officials to understand that this Cowichan 2050 is a framework that will provide a first step for regional planning in the future that is going to affect many generations to come. You're not going to put subtitles, by the way, in this one, right? Yeah.